Good morning and welcome to Money Truth Moments here with Judy. Good morning, Judy. How you doing?
I'm awesome, Carlos. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. It's another beautiful Tuesday morning. I always look forward to our show, folks. If you're just joining us, welcome. Love for you guys to share out this stream. Make sure also that if you're not following Judy, you do so at judycopenbarger.com. We've been going down this path of family finances and some great topics. So if you haven't had a chance to catch up with some of the previous episodes, please do so. You can also find a lot of those resources available on Judy's website as well too. So, hey, I'm excited about today's topic. And I know we're going to be talking about the intentional use of money. And it's a great topic. There's a lot of things that we want to cover. So I want to make sure that we have plenty of time and we don't run out of time, because let's face it, every time we talk, you have great things to share. And then it just seems 30 minutes is just not enough, right?
It does. And the questions from the viewers have been amazing. So I can't wait to see what you have in store for us today.
All right, awesome. So let's talk about this intentional use of money. Very simple. What are some powerful outcomes, for trying to achieve this?
Well, a lot of people use money unintentionally. And almost every day there are decisions we make, there are choices that we make that are financial in nature, that have to do with money, either coming in or going out, or allocating it or deciding whether to spend it. Every day we do that. And usually we just kind of go through the motions. We don't really think about, I have this dollar, where should I put it? What's the best place to put it? And the answer depends on what you want the outcome to be. So if you have the outcome in mind, if you have specific goals, then your decisions are easy. That's something Roy Disney said years ago. He was Walt Disney's brother. But it's true. If you know exactly where you want to end up, it's easy to say, yep, nope, yep, nope, yep, nope, for where you want to go. So to have a clear goal, there are 4 elements. The first element is it's got to have a proper name. And it has to be a name that means something to you. So for example, in my world, we help a lot of people prepare for the future financially. So retirement is a word that some people will use. A lot of people would never use that word. It might be freedom, or it might be work is optional, or it might be powerful, or it might be, I don't know, some other stream of income is going to show up, but it's not work anymore. But retirement, you think you're rocking out there on the porch, It's like, who wants to do that? I've got stuff to do. So for a lot of people, they don't use that word. So the first thing is you name your goal. If it's about a new home, it might be the casita, or it might be the palace, or it might be my nest, whatever it is. It might not be a house, but a word that means something to you. So it's got a title. The second thing is it has a very specific amount of money that you need to achieve the goal. The third thing is you need a specific date on the calendar by which you would like to achieve the goal, the ideal date. And then the fourth element, many people forget, it's the outcome. It's the reason. It's the why. So what will show up in your life when you attain freedom, or when you attain that new home? You finally get those keys in your hand. What's going to show up for you? Is it accomplishment? Is it respect? Is it connection? Is it happiness? Is it like, woohoo? What are the words that you experience? What are the feelings that you experience having achieved the goal? So you got that 4 things: the name, the date, the amount of money, and the outcome. What you're going to feel, what you're going to think when you achieve the goal. That's a proper goal. And that, if everybody just did that, would help them navigate finances so much easier, because then they know whether they're on track or off track for where they're trying to go.
That's pretty powerful on those 4 things that you talked about. But I'm also want to take it a step further. So even before we get to those 4 steps, also, how do we even begin this conversation? To even get started.
Well, you just start. So you have your past where maybe you didn't have clear goals, and you have your future where it would be really helpful, and then you have your present. So right now, just create a goal. So you can sit down and just say, what is it that I want 5 years from now, 10 years from now? At the end of my life, I want to look back and say, that really worked for me. What will need to fill that space for you to feel like you really navigated well? And that is going to help you get clarity around the goals. And then you do the things that I mentioned. What date? What ideal amount of money? What's the outcome going to be? And then you can fill in the action items, the technical work that you need to do to achieve that goal.
And I appreciate you talking about that. And the reason I asked that just for this is somebody just asked that. It's like, how do we even get started? So this is some of the stuff that's going to come up. And I love the fact, if you're just joining us, this is interactive, folks. So feel free to put in questions. If we get to them, great. If not, we're definitely going to be addressing them at a later time. But just make sure that if you have those questions while we're talking about some of these awesome topics, that you do put it on there so we make sure we get your answers as well, too.
Yeah.
So,
I'm sorry, to go a little further with how this person or these people can get started, it starts with those goals. And later in our segment today, we're going to have an actual challenge to help them step by step do just that.
Yeah, you got to stick around, because if you haven't joined us or you're just joining us, we have an amazing challenge at the end of every show. So you're really going to dig that. So we'll get to that in a moment. But let's move on a little bit further. So let's talk about, still with the intentional use of money, but how do we use cash flow as a blueprint? Like, I've heard that come up, right?
Yeah. Everybody can use a blueprint. Easy to say.
Say it 10 times, right?
Everyone can use a blueprint for cash flows. And that just means you have a plan. A blueprint is a plan, right? That's what a draftsman does for you. That's what an architect does. They say, here's the plan for something that we're going to build. Well, now you're building your financial future. You're building your money, your wealth. So how do you manage that well? If you have a plan, if you have these goals, which is where you start, then you're going to be able to look at the blueprint and say, okay, I was here. Now I'm here. What do I need to do next? You can't put the doors and the windows on before you have the floor and the walls up. Right. You can't put the roof on until you have, the foundation. So you have to do some things in order. And that's where using technical people can help. Subject matter experts in some of these areas of finance can help you. But you want to have that clear blueprint. So the cash flow blueprint is just that. It's having a plan for money that comes in and money that goes out. And it could be so simple, where if you get paid a fixed amount of money, let's say you're a teacher and twice a month you're going to have whatever show up. You're going to have $3,000 show up. That's a good salary. So when the $3,000 comes, there's all those things missing. You get that pay stub and there's all those initials and money's missing. all
Right.
the withholding and the taxes and all that stuff, insurances. So whatever you get left, let's say it's $2,000. If you have a plan for that $2,000, it's so much easier than, hey, I got a bunch of money and then all of a sudden, poof, right? That's a legal term I learned in law school. Poof, it's just gone. Where did it go? Where did it go? So if you have a plan for the $2,000 that are left to allocate, that's a blueprint for cash flow. So maybe 20% of it goes to housing and 20% of it goes to all your insurances. Now, you might not have all those bills every 2 weeks or every week if you get paid weekly, but how do you manage all that is you put down what you're going to actually need, divide it by how often you get paid, and that's how you allocate it. Now you have a plan. What people do sometimes without a plan is all of a sudden they get a commission or they get a paycheck or they get a bonus or they get something, tax return, and all this money shows up and they're like, I'm rich. And so they end up kind of blowing it because there wasn't a plan. There wasn't specific goals that they could allocate it toward. It's like they didn't have the bucket set up. And so they just spent it instead of putting it in their buckets. So all this planning is about is setting up your buckets and making sure the buckets align with your most important values. So when you fill them, money shows up and you fill them, you know exactly the optimal way to get it done for you to achieve your most important goals.
It just reminded, I don't know if you remember this, but like my very first job, I remember, before you realize how much money's taken away, I was like, oh, I'm going to make this so much money. You get the paycheck and it's like, what the heck? Like, where's all of this going to, right? And it's like the most disappointing moment just when it's like you realize you get all this money taken out. So God, that just brings back memories for sure.
A lot of us have had that experience. The first couple of checks, it's like, well, the first one must have been a mistake. Maybe they missed some hours, it'll be on the next check. And then the next one comes and it's the same thing. It's like, what happened? And then you sit down with, an adult that hopefully knows what's going on and they go, oh, you go, well, that's a ripoff. Really? I worked all that time and they take all that money away. So until you figure out where it's going, well, even sometimes still people get upset about taxes, but taxes are a good thing. Usually where we disagree is how much tax we actually pay. and how the money's used when it goes to wherever it's going. That's usually what the disagreements are. But, taxes are not a bad thing. It's just fundamentally a good thing. It's just all the other political stuff, values.
Right.
Yeah.
So, hey, folks, thank you for joining us this morning. We are here talking with Judy Copenbarger on Money Truth Moments. Today, we're talking about the intentional use of money. If you're not following Judy, please do so at judycopenbarger.com. There's a wealth of information and resources. And by the way, since we're on this subject, let's talk a little bit about your website and some of these resources that are available for folks too. I'm going to say, and I've said this before, congratulations on your book. It's been the #1 bestseller on different platforms, which is awesome. There's electronic copies of it as well, and there's also the online mastery program. And I want to have you take a moment to talk about what are these resources available on your website.
Oh, of course. I love this subject. It's transforming lives, this information. I'm so excited to have it out there in the world. But the first thing is the Money, Truth, and Life online mastery program. And what this does is it provides videos for you to learn about every aspect of finance and financial lives. So it covers the 5 pillars of finance. You have the protective parts of your financial world, like the legal instruments, the estate planning documents, what's a trust, what's a will, what's a LLC, how is that different from an S corp? Maybe they're the same, maybe they're not. You got to watch to find out. So insurances, every kind of insurance you can imagine, from insuring your car and your business and your health and your life to your homeowners and professional liability, all of that. It covers it, and it gives you a good primer level bird's eye view of what is it? Should I even be asking about it? Is that a gap in my life? Or it's like, no, I don't need that. Permanent versus term insurance, all that. Covers all that. It goes through the cash flows, which is part of our topic today. Cash flows, cash analysis, cash reserves. How much should you have saved and set aside in cash? Really? It depends. It's a good law school answer. It depends. And then it covers the growth part. So we have the protective part and then the growth part. So there's taxation in there, and then all of the investments that you have. Your business interests, your leverage on your property, the real estate that you own, and then all the traditional investments that you think of when you think about 401k, your IRA, wealth building, stock and bond portfolios, brokerage accounts, and things like that. All of that stuff is in this one stop, easy to follow. It's got the templates in there. It's got the worksheets in there. If you're a do-it-yourselfer, it's the place to be. And right now, for a week, you can watch any of those courses and any of those classes you want for no money. You don't have to subscribe. You don't have to pay for them. 7 days free. We want people to really know it's there. So if you just want to take a class or two, you can check it out. If you want to take as many as you can in a week, good luck. You can spend 40 hours, 50 hours studying that, getting your own plan in place. That would be an optimal way to do it. After that, there is a minimal subscription. If you want to keep using it and come back and use it, that's available. So that's Money, Truth, and Life online mastery program, and it's available at judycopenbarger.com. And I know it's not a very original website. It's just my name, but it's easy for me to find. So hopefully you can find that too. Now, the other thing you mentioned is
I know,
it's so great. Money, Truth, and Life is a book that was born out of 40 years of experience working with business owners, small business owners, ministry leaders, and families that just wanted to get money right. And I've been blessed to be able to help people from the front lines do all of that, navigate all these areas of finance, not pay too much in tax, not pay too much in fees, minimize all that, optimize the growth of their accounts and the growth of their wealth and the timing of their business decisions, the timing of their property decisions. So they really do well. And they end up achieving all their most important goals. And they do it with style. It's awesome. So I've been able to do that for people. And through those years, I've learned ways to communicate some of these issues that can be very technical. You can go down a rabbit hole trying to explain an irrevocable trust and the provisions inside, or talking about all the different minutiae differences in life insurance, long-term business succession product. I mean, it could be very cumbersome. And so I figured out ways to make it very simple. It's not dumbing it down, but it's bringing out the principles that are only the most important. And I do it in very visual ways where people go, oh, now I get it. It's the little red wagon. It's the greenhouse. It's the tuna can, right? Now I'll never look at my statement and go, oh, I lost money. I'll never do that again because I understand the tuna can. And maybe one day I'll share you the story of the tuna can, or better yet, buy the book, you can read it, or go to the Money, Truth, and Life online mastery program. Hope to see you there.
I also want to follow up something because someone asked also, and you just answered part of it too, about how long you've been doing this. So you and I, we've talked a little bit about, right, how long you've been doing this, why you're doing it. Take a moment, talk to folks, and I want to actually set this up so folks understand that you've been doing this. It's been your career, it's been your life goal, but it's all about building your legacy and what you want to leave behind. It's never been about the money, and I want folks to remember that, especially our new viewers, that you're doing this. You could be doing, I'm sure, better things with your time and all of that, but the fact that you take time to really educate folks, really make them feel like there's hope, right? Let's face it, when it comes to finances, it's chaotic. We don't know better because we've never really been taught, or we've been, hey, so-and-so's doing it this way. Let me kind of go down that path, see if that works for me. But it's not a cookie cutter system. Everybody, it's individualized, and I think everything that you've shared over the last several months, weeks, and topics you've always talked about. So if you could just talk a little bit about Judy, the legacy.
How long have we got? It all started because I wanted to help people. I wanted to help people that just really didn't know better, because they didn't learn it from their parents. They didn't learn it at school. They don't have a background in economics or some, fancy math degree. And they just wanted to navigate well. And I would call that stewardship, just managing well what you have, right? Mm-hmm. And I wanted to help people do that. So I started out in 89, a long time ago. Really just, 81. So we're 40 years this year. And I started with insurances, and then I started gaining all of my securities licenses, which allows you to help people with investments, traditional investments, stocks and bonds and things like that. And then I attained a CFP, which is a little bit broader. I added an AIF, so I'm a fiduciary. So I help people. By law, I have to do the right thing for the client. I can't just sell you a bunch of stuff, right? I have to do the right thing and prove it in writing for my audits, which really protects the people, the clientele that we're working with. I attended law school with my husband, and that was 30 years ago. So we've been helping people with their estate planning, particularly small businesses and family succession, with trusts and charitable trusts and revocable trusts and things like that. Asset protection is a specialization as well, because a regular revocable living trust won't do that. And that's a distinction people need to know about. So I did that. And then I just kept helping people. I went into a strategic financial advisory, financial planning years ago for fee only. And so I can help people on a fee basis get all of this stuff right, get all of the 5 pillars working together, get their subject matter experts that are serving them working together to optimize their ability to achieve their goals, give them the greatest probability of success. And so that's what I've been able to do. So over those years and degrees, and a lot of business classes too, to help our business owners. In fact, I'll end up later this year with an MBA as well as a law degree. And so just kind of always wanting to learn more and have more tools and resources to help people, to help the clients that I was working with. And it's just been kind of a progression. But this Money, Truth, and Life is really, you mentioned the word legacy. That lights me up, because I know I won't be here forever. And I don't know how long I have. But I feel like if something happened to me, if I got hit by a bus tomorrow, or let's make it next Tuesday, if I just wasn't here anymore, I feel like my life's work won't be lost. I feel like the communication I figured out, the gifts I figured out to help people do better is now out of me and in the world. And it works. I mean, these simple concepts is just like, I wish I would have known that 20 years ago. And I hear that all the time. Where were you 20 years ago, 30 years ago, Judy? Why didn't I know this then? Well, when you know better, you do better. And now we can do better. But I love that comment, but it makes me a little sad. I wish I would have been there sooner as well. But I can't be everywhere. I don't want to be everywhere. Right. And so now we have this digital, wonderful gift for people to go and learn, even if it's just one area of finance, or just to read up or watch a video on one area for a major decision they're about to make with a salesman or a realtor or a banker or whatever. And then they know the questions to ask to avoid a costly or time-consuming mistake, it's huge. That's my legacy. I'm so proud to have the work out there and have it available for free. I mean, almost free. I think Kindle, it's a couple of bucks, right, for the book there.
Right.
But so people that want it can have it. And I feel like I've done my part.
Awesome. And I appreciate you sharing that, because it comes up from time to time. And I want to make sure that folks, we're reminding the whole purpose of why you're doing this and what we're trying to get that message across too. So thanks for taking the time to explain it again. So let's get back to talk about, the intentional use of money. I got one more question for you I want to ask you. And that's, I've heard you mention incremental dollars when it comes to the intentional use of money. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, it's a big fat word. That's one of those 25-cent words, 2-bit words. Right? Incremental dollar. Well, in business, incremental cost or incremental dollar is the vocabulary that we use to explain what it's going to cost to make something. So it helps a business decide, should I go make another cell phone? How much money will I make? What's my ROI, my return on investment? If I make a cell phone for $2 and I sell it for 10, well, if I make it for for $20 and I sell it for 2,000, is more like it, right? It doesn't make sense for me to do that. What is my internal rate of return? What would be the value that comes back to me by taking this course of action? So we say those things in business, but personally, it should be the same. We talked earlier about having that blueprint for cash flow. Where's my money going to go? What bucket should it go in? Should I pay off a bill early to avoid interest, or should I be saving for a long-term goal like retirement or like, the next house I want to buy? So where should that dollar go? And it comes down to, first of all, having your goals in place. And second of all, understanding what that return is going to be. So if I put my dollar in, later, is it going to be $1.50? Is it going to be worth $2, $3, $5, $10, depending on when the goal is and how long it gets to cook and what kind of an investment it is. So we can calculate all of that. I mean, there's an art to this planning, but there's a science too. And so we know roughly from historical returns what's going to happen with a stock. We have a really good idea what's going to happen with property values. Now, everything goes like this, like roller coaster. But overall, you can kind of see trends, right? And so that's the scientific part, looking at trends, historical returns, projections with what a business or an industry or in a genre or real estate's going to do, and depending on how much time we have. So an example would be, I want to buy an apartment building, and I want to use the money I get from it when I sell it for my kids' college. Well, when's your kid starting college? Next year. Well, there's a lot of risk with that, like liquidity, right? Well, that might not be the best use of money, even though it's a great deal and it's on sale and your uncle told you, that might not be the best use of a vehicle for investment to put your money in for that particular goal. Now, if college is in 10 or 15 years, maybe, and we might be able to work with cash flows also, right? The cap rates on the property. But it might be better to do something a little shorter term for a short-term goal and something with a longer projection for a long-term goal. And people don't think about it. It seems so simple, right? When I'm explaining it, it's so simple. Use your head. But they get so excited about something that somebody's pitching them, or they got a really cool email from this company and it's so sexy and I'm going to own something in Texas or New York. Instead of being reactive, we want to be proactive. And it's not very exciting and it's not very sexy, but it comes back to, what do you want the money for? What is your goal? What's the outcome that you're looking for? What are the options that fit that outcome? And then say no to all the other stuff out there, all the noise, all the marketing, all the other people that are doing things with their groups and their communities. You need to do what works for you to achieve your goals with the right risk tolerance. So that's my little soapbox story from a technical view, but it can be so simple. It's just, I guess the simplest way to just think about it is be proactive. Go to something, not from something, right? Proactive, not reactive.
It's the best advice. I mean, in everything in life, right? It's always better to be proactive than reactive. And it's also, I have to tell you that a lot of folks I've heard say, watching the show too, that they really appreciate how you break things down, right? Because from a financial perspective, it is scary to talk to somebody that knows more than you usually, right? That's why you're the expert and we're not. But it also is very helpful and very comforting knowing that the expert is not talking down to you. It's actually explaining it to you so you walk away with your answers rather than more questions when you walk away, you know? And I've heard a lot of comments, and I want to make sure that I share that with you, that folks really appreciate how you break things down for us in the different categories and subjects that we talk about too. So thanks for that. But hey, before I forget, because we're getting closer and closer to the end of the show, it's our favorite part of the show. It's our Money Truth Challenge, folks.
Woo!
That's right. I need to have like some little fireworks or something pop up every time we do this.
I love this part because this is the implementation. You know, we all can sit through a class or watch a video or learn something. And then you know, even if you make notes, where did the notes go? They're on a shelf somewhere, or you trashed them, or they're in a pile of stuff you're going to get to one day. It doesn't really help if you don't implement what you learned right away. And by day one, 24 hours later, everything that you heard and learned is, you know, it's half gone. And then it goes down from there. So a week later, it's like, I kind of remember even being there. It's just crazy. And they have studies on all this stuff. So I love it when people actually engage and they implement something. I feel like our time is well spent together. It was worth my time to put this out. It was worth your time to sit there and listen and learn something and maybe take a note. But now you get the value by implementing it at your house. So here's your challenge.
All right.
You're going to create 3 proper financial goals. And this will help you no matter what kind of financial situation you're in, if you're digging out, if you're in a reboot situation, or if you're very successful. These basic principles of goal setting will help you. So I want you to pen and paper. I want you to create at least 3. And the first goal is going to have 4 elements to it. So think of a goal that you'd like to have that's financial in nature. And that means it takes money and time to achieve. So what kind of planning would need to happen? What kind of money would need to happen to achieve a goal you have in mind? So maybe it's that Ferrari that you always wanted, or the Mustang. Mustangs are coming back. Maybe it's an anniversary trip. You want to take all the kids and grandkids and go to Hawaii and do something special for that big anniversary. Maybe it's having future income when you don't want your time to turn into dollars. You don't want to be working anymore, but money shows up. What would it take for that? So the first thing, remember from earlier, name your goal. It can be any name you want, but it's a name that means something to you. The second thing is, how many dollars do you need to achieve the goal? For example, if it's a $500,000 house and you want to put $100,000 down, your initial investment is $100,000. That would be your goal, right? And after that, it's cash flow to make the payments. So an amount of money. The third thing is by what date? Not by January, not by 2024. What date? It's going to be January 14th, 2024, a date on the calendar by which you want to achieve that goal. And then the fourth element to this goal, the fourth thing that you're going to actually write down on paper, is the outcome. How are you going to feel when you have the keys to that place? When you're sitting behind the wheel of that Ferrari or that Mustang? How are you going to feel? What are you going to be thinking having achieved that goal? Wow. So you got the 4 things. I want you to do that with 3 different goals that you have. They can be short term. They can be something that happens this year, or they could be something that happens way down the road. But whatever those terms are, you want to make sure there's dates there, and you have the 4 proper elements to at least 3 goals. That's your challenge.
Wow, you've heard it, folks. That's a heck of a great challenge. And I'm going to challenge you guys also in the fact that as you're doing your goals, whether it's this challenge or previous challenges, please send it to us. Let us know or share. We would love to share this with a lot of our audience as well too. So we've heard some amazing stories over the last several months, several challenges. So I want to encourage you folks and also challenge you to make sure that you share that with all of us, so people can connect, realize that it's just, you know, we're not just putting out the challenge out there. There's folks that are actually taking this very serious, and it's awesome because at the end of the day, who is it going to benefit? It's going to be you. So make sure that you guys share that out too. So Judy, I know we come to the end of the show. I want to thank our audience for joining us today. As usual, it's been a fantastic show, fantastic topic. If you're just joining us, please make sure you watch the beginning of the show, share it out with your friends. And if you're not following Judy, please do so at judycopenbarger.com. If nothing else, folks, you can watch a lot of the free resources that she has available for you. Take your time, and I guarantee you're not gonna regret it. Period. So, any last parting words, Judy?
Yeah, you just said take your time. I think it's worth investing a little time. Go to the YouTube channel, watch a couple videos there on every possible subject of finance you can think of. On judycopenbarger.com, there are several videos and articles there that can help you. And chances are there's one there that's going to help you make a decision you're just about to make. So just be proactive, take some action, and take a little bit of time and invest in your own easy for you to say, invest in your own successful financial future.
All right, folks, remember, we are here every Tuesday morning at 8 o'clock. Thank you for joining us. This has been another Money Truth Moment with Judy Copenbarger. All right, until next week, take care, you guys.
Bye-bye.